Okay, cool. All right. Welcome to another Bright News discussion. I'm here with my good friend, Shane Kennedy.
Shannon, great to be with you, brother.
Thank you, man. It's good. It's good to be with you too, man. We're trying out StreamYard for the first time. And so it's a new experience and it's exciting. But today we're gonna talk about something. We talk about a few things. Our first topic of discussion will be on Israel and Palestine. So, Shane, what's your thoughts on this peace deal, brother? We done. I want to first say this.
Be careful, brother. Gotta...
Shalom, salam alaikum, all that good stuff. Mm-hmm. But I want to start out with this. Will Uncle Ishmael and Grandpa Jacob, are they gonna get their act together, bro? Have we finally reached a peaceful point from 3,000 years ago that everybody talks about, as being one of the oldest conflicts on this planet, right?
Listen, that's the thing I'm hoping for, man.
Yeah. What you hoping for? That this peace plan or this peace deal has been the end of this war or the end of this this Semitic conflict?
Yep. Yeah, this battle. Now you got to be careful how we phrase this, right? But
okay,
this battle essentially between brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You got all the other tribes in between. You know what I'm saying? The Edomites, the Moabites, the Jebusites. Huh?
Yeah.
All these little extra, all these little outside people. The Akkadians, Babylonians.
Well, and the question here is, so who were the original occupants of Jerusalem?
The Jebusites.
The Jebusites, that's right. So what about their ancient claims?
Man, I'm saying where, you know what I'm saying? What's up with them? Because they I think they either got wiped out, bro, or they got what do they call it? Intermarried and stuff with the Israelites, they're both Canaanites. Okay. Mm-hmm. This is something that's really important, man, for people to understand. This is that the Israelites were Canaanites too. Okay. I mean, do you agree with that?
Oh, well, yeah.
Okay. So
well, because where was Abraham called out of? Yeah, and wouldn't that be in the land of Canaan?
No, would be in the land of like Iraq.
Oh,
yeah, would be in the land of Iraq. But let's
would that make him an Assyrian then?
No, but not necessarily. I think it would make it would definitely, he would still be a Semite though. You see what I'm saying? Mm. So here's the thing. And I just kind of learned this a couple days ago. Like not a couple days ago, but like a couple months ago. So the Babylonians and the Assyrians they're the same people. Mm-hmm. Babylonians and the Assyrians are the same people. They both derive, their origin both derive from the Akkadians. Right? Now, somehow the Assyrians, stayed up in northern Mesopotamia, like Iraq and Syria, and the Babylonians got down to like southern Iraq and got into contact with the Sumerians. The Sumerians are not a Semitic people. Right? They're the language. I won't say that, like, I don't know about DNA and all that kind of stuff, genome and all that. I mean, there is a group called the Marsh Arabs who live in like southern Iraq, who some scholars think are the descendants of the Sumerians, but I don't know where that goes. What I do know is that the Babylonians are the ones that had the contact with the Sumerians, and they're the ones that, you see like that. I believe that I could be wrong, you know what I'm saying, but from what I've understood, the Babylonians were the ones that had the contact with the Sumerians, and that's where you get the whole Epic of Gilgamesh and those whole stories, right? Then, but again, the Babylonians are Semitic people. The Assyrians are Semitic people, but they speak an Eastern dialect of Semitic. The Israelites are a group. They are Canaanite people, but there are also other Canaanite groups. So these would be the Western Semitic speakers. So the Israelites are Canaanites along with the Phoenicians, the Arameans, the Edomites, the Moabites, the Jebusites, the Amalekites. These are all ites. Yeah, a lot of ites, right?
A lot of ites.
Yeah, except for the Phoenicians. And they go on to make their own civilization, like especially in North Africa, in like Morocco, Tunisia, and Algeria. They create the city. They create the empire of Carthage. Right? Who Hannibal comes from. That's his people, right? So, I guess the question is, I mean, we're going into a lot of history and archaeology and stuff like that. But the thing is that I guess the question is that have we seen the end of this conflict? You know what I'm saying? And some people have a thing of taking it back to the ancient, period, the biblical period. Some people have, a thing of taking it to the late antiquity and the late medieval age. And some people have taken it to the 1930s and 40s with the, end of World War II and the, what's it called? The Balfour Declaration?
Yes.
Yeah. With the Balfour Declaration. So you have that, you know what I mean? So in your estimate of everything, do you think honestly, do you think this is over?
No.
Okay.
Now I'm hoping that this is the end of it. That this will work to get everybody to stop killing each other, because at the end of the day, I think what we have to do is we have to be able to park the ideologies aside, and we have to get to a resolution where everybody can stop killing each other. And that comes down to the Palestinians not lashing out and killing 10 or 15 or 50 or in the case of October 7th, north of 1,000 Israelis in one event, and then the Israelis over like the entirety of a year slaughtering 30, 40, 50,000 Palestinian civilians. We have to put an end to this cycle, because it's a cycle that at the end of the day everybody loses. My concern is that once Okay. I guess I'll just say this. My concern is that Israel is going to break the ceasefire, and the reason I say that is, and my concern is based upon recent history, because remember, we had a ceasefire at the beginning of the year, right? That was negotiated. I think it was around the time of the inauguration, or it might have been a little bit before or a little bit after. And that ceasefire held until March the 18th, when Israel started attacking again. And then I believe last year at some point there was a ceasefire as well, and Israel broke that one. The thing that I think brought us to this point where everybody was able to agree on a ceasefire again is the fact that Israel bombed Qatar. And Qatar, and they were furious, and rightfully so. So ultimately, bad behavior on behalf of the Israeli government, disrespecting international norms, bombing a neighbor who they were supposedly not at war with, in their capital city in Doha. That I think is the event. I think that's the precipitating event that brought us to this point where the Israelis and Donald Trump were kind of boxed into a corner where they kind of had to agree to a ceasefire, and they kind of had to agree to the terms of this deal. And from what I understand, this is largely the same deal that Israel has rejected time and time again. And this is the thing. They've rejected either this deal or a deal very, very close to it, basically a deal with the same DNA. They rejected it, at least once or twice during the Trump administration. They rejected it multiple times under Joe Biden. And so the only variable here, the only variable here that's changed was the Israeli aggression against Qatar. But bombing Doha, Qatar, and saying that they were only doing it because they wanted to bomb the Hamas negotiators, when that's a war crime in and of itself.
Yeah. Well, okay. Here's the thing. Not to play devil's advocate, but no, I am playing devil's advocate. So whatever, I'm playing devil's advocate. So here's the thing. Israel will say, well, these places harbored terrorists. You know what I'm saying? And two, Israel would say, no, we did give them. We tried to negotiate with them. We tried to talk with them. We tried to make deals with them, and they rejected it every time. Right? So, because I'm just thinking here. Look, man. Israel is the only state in the land, in that area, that is not wouldn't consider itself. Well, I mean, wouldn't consider it. I mean, they're not. They don't speak Arabic, and it's not a country that is on the surface influenced by Arab or Middle Eastern culture. Just, at its foundations, you might say that that's a different story, right? Because they're, somebody might say, well, they were living in the land or whatever, and then, others might say, no, they're appropriating the culture of that area to fit in more, right? So I guess my thing is that do you think it's true that, given that Israel say, well, no, they are the ones who don't want to come to a deal, and two, a lot of these so-called Arab countries harbor terrorists, or terrorist organizations like Hamas or Hezbollah, or what's the one in Yemen? The Houthis.
Yeah, the Houthis. Well, we see, this is the problem, is saying something doesn't mean it's true, right? And that's what they've been doing this whole time, is they've been saying, well, we have to murder them because they're Hamas. We have to wipe them out because they're Hamas. Well, this is the thing. When when Hamas is sending, as much as you don't like them, talking to Israel, as much as Israel does not like them, that doesn't give them the right to kill them. Especially when the hat that these Hamas people are wearing is the hat of a negotiator, that does not give Israel the right to kill them.
But how do you know that they're being a negotiator? What if because see, Israel sees them as they're not really trying to negotiate. They're saying something, and then in the end, it's just going to backfire on us.
Well, and you see, that's where in a diplomatic negotiation, it's typically facilitated by some kind of a third party for that exact reason. And what that third party will do in this case, it was Qatar. What that third party will do is they will vet the credentials and evaluate the credibility of the people that are being sent from both sides in this case that are classifying themselves as being negotiators, right? So the thing is, Qatar would not have allowed these Hamas negotiators to schlep around Doha, claiming that they're a negotiator, unless Qatar had vetted them and had good reason to believe that they were, and in the same way to the Israeli negotiators, there is a reason that Qatar vetted the Israeli negotiators and invited them to come to the table to the table that they were trying to facilitate a dialogue to try to settle this conflict. And the thing is, time and time again, the Israeli government has violated the rules and have said, well, yes, the people on the other side of the table are technically the negotiators, but I don't like them. So because I don't like them, that gives me the right to exterminate them. And the United States, we kind of adopted the same. I guess you could say we adopted kind of the same philosophy whenever it came to the Iranian negotiators. Remember, remember when we initiated the airstrikes against Iran, when Israel initiated the airstrikes against Iran, because remember, Israel hit them first. And then the Israeli government ordered Donald Trump to do follow up, to do American strikes on the nuclear targets. Are
you talking about in this recent administration?
Yes,
because he dropped that bomb on that general.
Yes. Well. So this is the thing: is that the United States and the Iranians were in a period where they were negotiating with one another, specifically negotiating a new nuclear treaty. At least that's the pretense that the United States was had convinced the Iranians of, right? And basically, the Iranians were under the impression, well, we know that there's always a chance that we're going to get bombed by our, neighbor, the regional hegemon of the Middle East, Israel. But, surely they're going to respect international law and not attack us while we are negotiating terms with the Americans for a new nuclear treaty. And that norm got blown up along with all the airstrikes that the Israelis did. And that was another case where the only reason I believe the Israelis stopped hitting Iran so hard is that Iran started hitting Israel very hard. Because remember, the missile defense systems in Israel over like Tel Aviv and all these places, where the IDF, the Israeli Defense Force, they have a whole bunch of military infrastructure built right next door to apartment buildings and stuff, right in the middle of Tel Aviv, and that's probably for a reason. That's probably so that if a military target gets hit, then they can claim that a civilian target was also hit. You know what I'm saying? Now, look, this is the thing. I'm not justifying anything. Nobody should be bombing each other. Period. The whole thing is stupid, and it just shouldn't be happening. Nobody should be attacking one another.
Yeah.
But I guess the thing I'm pointing out here is that Israel used basically when the Iranians had their guard down and they thought surely we're not going to get attacked while we're negotiating a new nuclear deal with the Americans. At that moment, or within that week or 2 week period or whatever it was, that's when Israel decided that they were going to start hitting Iran. And it's interesting. The first people that Israel started killing in Iran, they were the Iranian negotiators.
Okay.
And also nuclear scientists and stuff too. But the main people Israel was targeting were the negotiators.
Yeah.
And you see, and this is the thing. According to international law and international norms, it doesn't matter who the diplomats are. Or it doesn't matter what country the diplomats are representing. It doesn't matter if they're representing North Korea or if they're representing, I don't know, some other country like the country that kills every journalist that goes there, that's near Ethiopia. That the Italians,
Eritrea.
They hate journalists down there, and any time a foreign journalist comes, they kill them right off the bat down there.
Yeah.
So this is the thing. It doesn't matter if the diplomats are representing Eritrea or if they're representing North Korea. According to international law and international norms, these are all rules that every member state of the United Nations agrees to. You're not allowed to just murder diplomats because you don't like the country they represent.
Mm-hmm.
You're supposed to deal in good faith with the diplomats. That's the entire purpose of this whole thing. And so the problem is, when you allow one country to continuously violate norms over and over and over again, then with that, the signal that sends to all the other countries is these norms really mean nothing. And things are rough now as far as like, all the chaos in the Middle East, all the chaos in Ukraine and Russia, and all the chaos in the South China Sea.
And all the chaos right here in the country. Exactly.
Well, and this is the thing. If countries around the world stop buying into the notion of international law and international norms and respecting diplomats and not killing negotiators and all this kind of stuff, that will make the world spiral into it'll make the time period we're living in now look like a cakewalk.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow. Okay. We're gonna move on to the next thing, man, and that's the government.
Here. Let's say one more thing about the Israel-Gaza thing.
Okay.
The narrative that's being kind of like echoed on both sides of the media, and this is in left-wing media like the New York Times and CNN and MSNBC, and then right-wing media like Fox News and Drudge Report and all that kind of stuff. They're all basically saying that Trump is the one that's responsible for the peace, for this peace deal being agreed upon. And
Hillary Clinton, she praised him for it. Bill Clinton praised him for it. Wasn't there a Nobel Peace Prize winner that she attributed her
the Venezuelan chick, right?
Yeah.
Well, so I guess my point is, if Donald Trump has had the power to stop this the whole time, then why didn't he do it sooner? And that's coming from someone who, I voted for Donald Trump. I'm glad I voted for him and I didn't vote for Kamala Harris. That's not a vote that I would change to this day. Mm-hmm. But I guess the way I feel about it is kind of shame on him. Mm-hmm. If this whole time he had the ability, from the moment he got into office, if he had the ability from day one to sit Bibi down and tell him, you're going to accept this, the war is over, mm-hmm. and he was able to send Steve Woodcock over to get to get Hamas to agree to agree to a ceasefire and to release the hostages and all this other kind of stuff. If he had this power the whole time, then why didn't he assert it from the very beginning? Mm-hmm. That's that's the thing that frustrates me on the American end.
Mhm.
And listen, you and I both get, you and I both understand it, that AIPAC buys off both sides of the American of the American politicians, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's the one group that really, that's the one group that really has Congress bought and paid for on both sides.
Yeah.
So the thing is, I mean, that's not a shocker at all. It's just, the thing is, in spite of AIPAC wielding all their power and all that kind of stuff, if Donald Trump had the ability to put an end to this thing sooner, then why didn't he?
Yeah.
And that is a question that I haven't heard anyone ask him.
Yeah.
And that's a question I really haven't heard many people ask on the left or on the right.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good point, man. Okay. We'll get into our next thing, and that is I just want to touch on this briefly because there's something that I mainly want to talk about, and that's something that took place over last week. But this second thing is the government shutdown. I think a lot of people, including myself, don't really know what that means. Especially if you're someone that doesn't work in the government, you know what I mean? If you're not employed by the government or something like that, what can you say to people? Even if you do work in the government, what is the gist of the ramifications of a government shutdown? I mean, what could that potentially? Because a lot of social media is like, oh well, it messes with food stamps or welfare. It messes with government employment. It messes with military. Whatever, their pay. Messes with the healthcare stuff, Medicare, Medicaid. So, yeah, I mean, I guess that would be the point there. What are the ramifications of a government shutdown? And I mean, does it really have a significant does it really play a serious detriment to American citizens?
I mean,
or is this more of a entertainment? Is this more of a DC entertainment stunt type of move where they're just, trying to make it seem like they're really doing it for the people and stuff like that? And that's on both sides. I'm not saying that just for Democrats. You know what I mean? Is it? Yeah, I kind of, in my mind, man, I feel like this is more of like one of them WWE matches. You know what I'm saying? Where they're just kind of like saying a lot of stuff, but they don't. It's just to kind of hype politics.
I guess the thing I would say about it is it's very much bread and circuses. Mm-hmm. Really, I think when you get down to the core of what the shutdown is over, is when you look at the Democrat, because look, at the end of the day, they want to try to break us down into two groups, into Democrats and Republicans, mm-hmm. and they want us to hate each other. Mm-hmm. So for the Democrats, I think the reason that they went ahead with pushing for the shutdown is that polling and surveys done about the sentiment of the Democratic base, mm-hmm. about the Democratic leadership, mm-hmm. is that the Democratic leadership are just rolling over and doing nothing. Okay. That's the reason that there's so much momentum behind people like Mamdani in who's running for mayor in New York.
Yeah.
People that are very, very different like him, is because people like him seem to be pushing the envelope and not just kind of like rolling over. Mm-hmm. Because remember that the message from the Democratic leadership for the past like 8 years has been that Donald Trump is the second coming of a particular German nationalist leader whose name I don't want to say because I don't want to hurt the algorithm. Mm-hmm. But they're trying to say that he's the second coming of him or even worse. Mm-hmm. And they've been saying this over and over and over again, so that a lot of the Democratic base they legitimately believe it. Mm-hmm. And so the Democratic base are almost in a way thinking that the Democratic leadership are in on it with Donald Trump, who is the second coming of this particular German nationalist leader. Mm-hmm. And so I think a decision that was made by Democratic leadership was, okay, healthcare is the thing that we poll the best on. Mm-hmm. So what we're going to do is push to shut the government down over the expanded Affordable Care Act subsidies that were passed as a temporary enhancement of the subsidies during COVID, and they're set to expire in December. Now, a misconception that a lot of people are under is that the Republicans are pushing to end all healthcare subsidies. Mm-hmm. for the ACA. That's not what's happening here. Mm-hmm. And I am in the process right now of downloading a table so that we can see what kind of a difference we're talking about as far as the subsidies go. I think I've got it queued up, but I just want to say one more thing so the point that the Republicans are making is that the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, it's already so expensive that we need to be able to we have excess spending and waste within the Affordable Care Act that we can trim, right? Mm-hmm. Now, to me, I think that's a really, really bad argument coming from a lot of these people who have been saying we're willing to give Ukraine billions and billions, and we're willing to give them like 100. I think what have we given Ukraine? $150 billion so far, or somewhere around there. Mm-hmm. Since the beginning of this year, I think we've given Israel something like $25 billion worth of military aid, something or minimum of that. Now that does not include the strikes on Iran and stuff that you can probably calculate another close to another $1 billion for that, or maybe even more. So this is the thing. When we're, you come off as a hypocrite when you're sitting here talking about, well, we need to save money by reducing some of these measures that were meant to be temporary during COVID on American citizens, but at the same time, we're going to keep on just giving limitless money, limitless military aid, and everything to these foreign countries. Like Israel and Ukraine and Taiwan and all these other places, and when it's all said and done, you are looking at the money that we're giving all these other countries in military aid. You're looking at far more money than what you're dealing with these expanded Affordable Care Act enhancements that are due to expire from COVID. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So my point here is kind of nuanced. I'm not a big fan of the Affordable Care Act. I think what it does is it doubles down on the worst part of the American healthcare system, which is health insurance. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, this is the system that we're stuck with, at least for now. Mm-hmm. And for Republicans to fall into the trap that the Democrats set for them, and this is a very intelligent strategic trap for the Democrats to set for the Republicans. For the Republicans to fall into this thing and say, well, it's a waste of money for poor Americans to receive another $50 a month in healthcare subsidies. Mm-hmm. Come on. Yeah. So you're going to say that's a waste, but you're not going to say that giving limitless military aid to Israel and to Ukraine and all these other places around the world, that's not a waste of money. Mm. Yeah. Take care of poor people here first. Yeah. And then once they're taken care of, then you can start looking around at giving money to your cronies overseas.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you call that interests. What your main interests. And the government is more interested, it appears to be, in
okay,
displaying, reflecting a measure of power throughout the world, rather than being interested in the well-being of its own people. Is that what you're saying?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Do you mind if I share my screen? I have something queued up that I think will help kind of put the enhanced subsidies that are set to expire for the Affordable Care Act for Obamacare. I've got a little table here that I've got ready to go that I think will help to kind of spell it out. Let me see. Okay. This is final. Okay, share my screen. Final. Okay, are you able to see my screen?
No, let me see.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay, yep. Yeah, there it is. Okay, so what we're looking at here, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. So what we're looking at here is the so the total federal cost of the Affordable Care Act last year in 2024 was estimated to be $65 billion. So you can approximately say that that we spent like 2 times our military aid from this year to Israel on the Affordable Care Act for last year on the subsidies. Now, combined, so with the normal Affordable Care Act subsidies plus the enhanced Affordable Care Act subsidies that are left over from COVID that are set to expire at the end of this year, the expenditure is estimated to be between 110 billion and 125 billion. So we're looking at basically cutting in half the cost of the Affordable Care Act by letting those expire. Now, what I have here is a table that shows an example of a person aged 40 that earns $50,000 a year. So what you're able to see here is the first row is the subsidy that they would qualify for under just the regular Obamacare Affordable Care Act that doesn't have the COVID enhancements. So this is what it would be. It would probably be a little bit more than this, but this is approximately the subsidy that they would qualify for if the enhancement was allowed to expire at the end of this year. So they'd be looking at receiving a federal subsidy of $154 per month. With the enhancement, we're looking at $196 per month of a subsidy. So, and remember, and just for anybody that doesn't know what a subsidy is the amount that is paid toward the premium on your behalf, and then the amount that you're responsible to have to pay would be the amount of the premium less the subsidy. So in this example, it's based on a $550 per month premium. So the subsidy here, you can see $154 minus $550 would leave you with being responsible under regular Obamacare without the enhancement, $396 per month for that premium. Now, under the enhancement, since COVID, that $550 premium would receive a $196 subsidy, which would leave you with a bill of $354. So you're basically looking at like a $50 a month difference for the scenario of the age 40 adult, single adult with an income of $50,000, and they'd be looking at a silver plan. And then we'll look at an example of a family of 4. So a family of 4 that has a household income of $100,000, 2 adults plus 2 children. So, and we're figuring in a silver plan of roughly about $1,300 a month. The subsidy under under regular Obamacare without the enhancement would be $508. So that would leave them responsible for paying $792 per month out of pocket. With the enhancement that's set to expire in December, that the shutdown is over, they receive $592. So approximately $90 more per month, and they're only responsible for $708. So saving them about $90.
Now, this is just on the Medicare, Medicaid, Obama plan thing, right?
Yeah. So this is on the Obamacare plan. This is not. So this does not involve people that are, or at least let me say this: I don't believe this involves people that are on Medicare or Medicaid. This only affects people that make too much money to qualify for Medicaid. So that's what this is in regards to.
Okay.
So this is what we're looking at. So basically in this final column here, remember the first example was somebody aged 40, a single adult aged 40, with a household income of $50,000. The enhancement saves them $504 for the year. In the example of a silver plan. And then for the family of 4, 2 adults, 2 children, the enhancement saves them $1,008 per year approximately.
Okay. Yeah.
So I wanted to make sure that we were able to see kind of a tangible example of what this really means.
Yeah. Okay. Got you. Okay. Now this is our last little spiel here, man. And this is a little, it is, it happened. That's all I'll say. And that is a gentleman, I don't know who he is or whatever, went to the Vatican, the St. Peter's Basilica, and urinated at the altar.
Right.
Yeah. And I think that happened on Sunday or Monday of this month. And so there's been a lot of, in the news, it comes up, it comes up a lot, but it's not one of those things that's like a headliner, but it does pop out as like a serious, like, man, this is what's going on in the land. You know what I mean? So, I guess my initial thing would be like, have Westerners lost their minds, bro?
I think the answer is yes.
Has the Christian world lost its fucking mind?
I think the answer is yes. The thing I don't understand about a situation like that is, how could you allow someone to do that? Now, okay, I've got a question for you. Do you know if that person faced any kind of criminal charges in the Vatican?
I don't think that's been talked about yet. That hasn't been determined.
Because somebody like that does need to, especially in somewhere like Vatican City, they need to be justice needs to be served in some way. I'm not saying that we need to like that we need to go like medieval on them necessarily, but it's just there needs to be some kind of a consequence, like maybe throw them in the clink for like 30 days or something like that, because the Vatican does have a prison, or do something, find the guy at least. I mean,
no, they found him. They know who he is. I mean, they no. The thing I mean is like fine him, like give him
like charge him a fine or something like that. I mean,
yeah.
Goodness knows that the Vatican, they've mismanaged their funds, for all these years and everything. They could certainly use a few, a little bit of extra coin from somebody. If someone's going to go urinate on the altar of St. Peter, at the very least, you should charge the guy a fine as a penalty.
Yeah.
At minimum, if you're not going to throw the guy in the Vatican prison. If you're not going to throw someone in the Vatican prison for something like this, then I really don't know why it even exists.
Well, I'll say this, man. This is my opinion on that, and that's this is indicative of the decline of European society.
Mm-hmm.
That's my opinion on this. Europe has allowed itself to be degenerated, degraded, perverted, culturally insignificant, religiously insignificant.
Mm-hmm.
They have no real power. They're weaklings. They have no show of strength. They don't believe in the saints.
Right.
They don't believe in Christ. That's what happens.
Yep.
When you do that. Okay, so for me, I kind of feel like that's a sign, right? That's a lesson. If you allow for, because let me see, because I'm gonna get into this. France, Paris, for a long time has allowed for the degradation of their sacred of cathedrals.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they allowed for bare-breasted women to come into the sanctuary and make protest, and this was 2-3 years ago. What just recently happened in London, in England? They desecrated the Cathedral of Canterbury
With the graffiti looking stuff.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay. You got Germans, Alemanni. Okay. Sitting up there having chicken dances in churches. You allow for His Holiness allowed for circuses to go on in the church. So this is one of the culminations of the bullshit. Okay, because that's what it is. The bullshit that essentially, and I don't care who hears me. I'm going to say this, and if you want to get upset, you get upset. Amen. It's the truth. These boomer bishops and these Gen X bishops have allowed for the degradation and the audacity for these people to do stuff like this. I'm not saying you got to go out and be, clotheslining people, even though that's what a lot of us think should happen. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying you got to be clotheslining people and knocking people over the head. But I am saying is that if they want to get that shit under control, the priests, and especially the bishops who are over these priests, these archbishops, they need to either speak up and say something or go sit your asses down. And I don't care if you're old or young. If you're not speaking on what the problem is, then you need to go sit down and get yourself a clerical job. If you want to be one of the bishops that don't do nothing and don't say nothing and don't have integrity to speak on what's wrong, and you just about trying to keep an appearance, we don't want you.
Well, and what are the red and pink garments supposed to signify that they wear?
Sacrifice. And so my thing is if you're not ready to do that, and the purple ones, them purple ones, their whole thing is the princes of the church. But a prince of the church has duties. They're not allowed to just walk around in garments and all this type of stuff. Your role is to be a shepherd in the church, bro. Stop acting retarded. Stop being lazy. Stop being cowardice and all that shit. Because we are tired. And I'm saying this for real. Millennials are tired. We're tired of dealing with the bullshit. We're tired of dealing with y'all telling people, like, okay, and I'm going to say this, another thing, because I've really been wanting to get into this, bro. I've been stewing on this whole thing, and I'm going to stew, okay? I'm a vent because this is some bullshit. I went to church last Sunday, or the Sunday before last, and one of the members at the church, she's a boomer, as most of the church board members and people who work at the church and everything is a whole bunch of female boomers. Okay. She's sitting up there talking about, oh, we need more young people, and only the young, it's only about 30, we only have 20 to 30% of young people. They don't even, they don't even come, and they say they want to be involved, and we don't have enough people, and it's just a whole bunch of old people that come. Why do you think that is? There is a reason why even young people want to come to church. We want to attend the mass. We want to attend the services.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever you say, whether it's Protestant, whether it's Orthodox, whether it's Catholic, whether it's mainline, whether it's evangelical, especially men. Because we see there ain't nothing out here.
Yeah, there is. It's a ghost town out here, dude. It would be nice to see a tumbleweed every once in a while.
You know what I'm saying? There's nothing out here, brother. So the thing is we are trying to come to church. We want to come to church, but we want them to we want the priests to say the unadulterated truth. Mm-hmm. We want the priests to say that, we're not allowing for all this little feel good, what you want.
Right.
Like, stop speaking to only the women. Mm-hmm. Stop speaking to these fringe LGBTQ stuff that doesn't have a hold on the church, because you know why? The church already condemns it. It's in its tradition. It's in it. It's already there.
And also too, by sending them the message that is an acceptable lifestyle, it's doing them harm.
Yeah.
You know?
Because they, and then the other thing is that for me, man, it's like, if you want to encourage young men to come to church, they want to see older men who are going to tell the truth. Mm-hmm. Even at the expense of their vocation. Not in the sense of going against his holiness, not in the sense of saying anything that would be, against the church, in a foundational and fundamental sense, but to say what's wrong and to be critical of that and not be suppressing, which is what the boomers do, suppressing the news and the sense of wanting to be a part of the church that a lot of these young millennials and Gen Z they want that. Mm-hmm. They want the traditional Latin mass. Now, millennials, I'm gonna tell you something. We're a little more lax on that. We are. Yeah. Because we kind of like, it's like, okay, it's all for the glory of God. You know what I'm saying? We're because we grew up with them. We grew up with the Gen X and the boomers. Yep. But see, the Gen Zs, and the frustrated millennials, it's a different story, man.
Yeah.
And they want to see something that's above the politics.
It seems to me that over the trajectory of the 20th century, and in honor of this, this week was Columbus Day, right? It ended up being October the 13th, and that day happened to also coincide with Our Lady of Fatima Day, right?
Oh,
the anniversary of the miracle of the sun.
Yeah.
And remember that the Blessed Mother told Sister Lucy that the final battle would be over the family.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems that over the 20th century, we started kind of, I guess we started the century off, or at least I assume we did, with at least the civic notion that marriage is an unbreakable religious vocation.
Mm-hmm.
Or even if you're growing, even in the more secular places, or like the places that were a little bit more kind of like loosey goosey, they would still say something to that effect, that marriage is this mystical union. It's something spiritual that we can't mess around with. Yeah, sacred.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then after World War II, no fault divorce got huge in America. And because America has been the kind of like the chief culture maker of the world since the end of World War II, we've exported this notion to people that marriage is not really sacred. Marriage is not really about an unbreakable bond. Mm-hmm. Marriage is really about a feeling, mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And the thing is that I think has run its course now.
Yeah.
And the, especially the Gen Z, they don't give a shit about feelings. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because they and millennials too. Mm-hmm. Generally speaking, we don't have that luxury.
Yeah.
Yeah. We just don't like some.
We all walk around here like Vulcans, bro.
Yeah, dude, yeah. And that's the thing is like this whole system this whole system is crumbling in on itself. But I didn't say that to get us off into a pessimistic disposition, but
no, yeah, I understand.
Remember, especially considering that this week was not only Columbus Day, but also the feast day of Our Lady of Fatima, the anniversary of the miracle of the sun. We are engaged in a spiritual battle, mm-hmm. And the thing is, we do have, leaders in the church that are not, I guess what you would say, maybe not orthodox, like heterodox, mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, I think what we have to do is we have to stay close to the sacraments.
Yeah.
And that is one thing that I think we always have to be very careful of, because there's plenty of bad stuff going on in the church. There's plenty of bishops that are doing bad things. There are plenty of cardinals that are loosey-goosey and everything. Like there was an orgy in the Vatican. Like
no, just say they're bums, bro. Just say they're bums.
Yeah, but the only thing, the thing I would caution people of, and I know this is something that you agree with me on, is do not allow Satan's cloven hoof to get into your life, because you suddenly look down at the church and think, well, I'm too good for this thing. Because remember,
I know what you mean, because I'll be thinking that shit.
Yeah, well, listen, man. well, Shannon, listen. That's something that I think that crosses all of our minds.
Okay, all right. I'm glad I'm not the only one.
And the thing, and that's where I think we have to be very mindful of ourselves. Mm-hmm. And we have to stay very, very close to the sacraments. Mm-hmm. We got to keep going to the confessional, even if the priest you're confessing your sins to, you're not all that crazy about, because maybe that priest's a little bit flamboyant or something.
Yeah.
Still go and confess, because this is the thing. At the end of the day, like we. At the end of the day, the chief battle that we're in is to defeat sin in our lives. Yeah. Right. Amen. And the thing is, Amen. So the thing is, we're in many ways we're having to walk a very, 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 very strange tightrope. Yeah. Because we our chief battle is to fight the sin that's constantly tempting us, that we're involved in, and going to the confessional and allowing God to continuously save us. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, we also have to be very careful about not allowing bad teachers to teach us things that are heterodox.
Yeah.
The thing is,
don't get to the point to where you have too much righteous indignation.
That's right. Well, yeah. Like don't ever try to perceive yourself as being better than the church or something. In spite of like, you and I have friends that love to on a regular basis send us the videos of Pope Francis with all the acrobats and all the clowns and stuff dancing around him and everything. The thing that we have to do is we cannot allow those things to make us leave the church, because the problem is the minute you leave the church is the minute that you're deprived of the sacraments.
Oh yeah. No, I totally agree with
that. No. The reason I was throwing that out there is, I think one of the reasons that the forces of evil are not there, they're not like coming out and trying to get, at least yet, they're not coming out and trying to get like bishops and clerics and stuff to try to declare things that are definitively heterodox and definitively heretical.
Yeah.
I think what they're trying to do is to make the church look like one giant clown.
Yeah.
To get people who are Orthodox to leave it.
Yeah.
And then once they've left the embrace and protection of the church, and they no longer have access to confession, they no longer have access to the Eucharist, they no longer have access to the Mass, they no longer have access to the nourishment that the church gives us.
Yeah.
Then that's when we're sitting ducks.
Well, you know what I will say to that? Let them have it. If they want to do that shit and they want to take over the church and infest it, let them take it over and infest it, and we'll just have another schism. I'm joking.
Well, and this is the thing. There are plenty of mainline Protestant churches that a lot of these people can go to.
Yeah.
Is the Archbishop of Canterbury now is she a practicing
Druid?
Probably. Well, the thing I was going to say is, doesn't she have a wife?
I don't even know, bro. I don't even know. The fact that they I'm not even going to get into that. You know what I'm saying?
I think I know what you're going to say, and I'll go ahead and say it. Women should not be bishops. Women should not be priests.
Not my problem. That's just not my problem. I'm not saying nothing, bro. Like, whatever. That's their thing. You know what I'm saying? We got our thing over here, and my thing is that I feel like, man, they need to really take account of the fact that I'm trying to be careful because I don't want to say anything that's offensive. Okay. But they need to go ahead and stop trying to push the flower power thing. It's not working. And I think that's an end of an era.
Oh, definitely. Well, and that's the thing. This whole thing, it's run out of gas.
Yeah.
It's over. It's dying. And this is the thing in particular. I think that every generation kind of has their own like nature and kind of their own kind of characteristics, their own kind of culture. Their own way of carrying themselves. I'm not saying that every generation's homogenous, because they're not. That there are a lot there are a lot of boomers that are very, very different. A lot of Gen X that are very, very different from one another. A lot of millennials that are very, very different from one another. But when you're a part of
I know I am.
Yeah, but when you're a part of a particular generation, there's a certain language that everybody in that generation speaks and understands. There's a certain way of carrying themselves. There's also a certain way of dressing that particular generations carry. You know? Yeah. And so this is the thing, is that I think that because of the way that pop culture was for so long, I think that baby boomers perceive their characteristics as being the characteristics of the youth. You know, that like going out and smoking, doing partaking in a lot of illegal substances, going out and like experimenting with experimenting with your body biologically with other bodies. I think they think those types of things are all very that those are not characteristics of their generation. Those are just characteristics of what it means to be young and to be youthful. And in the same way, when we were all growing up, people your age and people my age, the old generation were the people that survived World War II and fought in World War II. That generation of old people were the old people that lived, at the very least, they lived during the Great Depression.
You have to say their names, Shane. The Great Generation and the Silent Generation.
The Great Generation and the Silent Generation. And the thing is, I think that there is still a perception among a lot of people today that the characteristics of those generations are the characteristics of what it means to be old. But that's not the case, because the thing is, like, you look at some of the characteristics of both of those generations. One typical characteristic of them is that they were very, especially the greatest generation, they were very civic minded. They were very into being a part of different like civic lodges. They were very much a part of being involved in community groups. And the Silent Generation were really known for being very frugal. And a lot of that is because they grew up during the Great Depression. So they would save everything that they possibly could. And the thing is, you look at the generation that succeeded them, which was the baby boomers. The baby boomers don't really have a reputation of being frugal. They don't really have a reputation of being civic minded. They have a reputation for wanting to have a really good time.
Well, because they didn't have,
right?
Because they inherited that. That. But I mean,
So the thing is, like, our generation, for instance, I think one of the characteristics of millennials is that they're very there's a lot of nostalgia. Millennials are for good and for bad, they get pretty fixated on like the 90s and everything. And one of the reasons is probably that was the last time America had a very, very big, massive, highly integrated monoculture. Where it didn't matter what kind of music somebody was listening to. If somebody was listening to country music, they would still be aware of rappers. And vice versa. If somebody was listening to a lot of rap music, they would still be aware of some of the main country singers. Maybe they didn't listen to them, but because we were all part of one integrated culture. But then after that, with the advent of these things and as technology developed, culture became a lot more fragmented, and so there isn't one big monoculture anymore. It's just a bunch of competing subcultures now. And then the other thing I'd say about millennials is, I think millennials are very systematic in the way they view the world in comparison to the boomers. Millennials have a tendency.
Being a Vulcan.
What?
It's called being a Vulcan, bro.
Yeah,
we're Vulcans, bro.
Yeah.
Everything is systematic. because we want order.
Yeah. Well, and you know, and this is the thing. Your most super far right-wing person that's a millennial and your most super far left-wing person that's a millennial, they will be able to articulate to you down to the minutia how their way of viewing the world works and why it's better than the other ways of viewing the world.
Yeah.
Why it optimizes efficiency, why it's more functional, why it's better for everybody, and they'll be able to get into the nitty-gritty of it and everything. Mm-hmm. They might be wrong, but they're very systematic in the way that they think about things.
Mm-hmm.
And then in Gen Z, man, they seem to me to just be very nihilistic. Like, just that they I think Gen Z, I think they just look around and they're like I have no hope. You know, I'm never gonna be able to own anything. So I might as well not even learn how to drive a car.
Well, we won't. I won't be so disparaging to our Gen Z brothers and sisters. They're very close to us,
mm-hmm.
the same way that Gen Xers are close to the boomers.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And you know, I feel for them. You know what I'm saying? But the you know, what I will say is that I think we're living in a time, man, of like great shifts. You know,
big time
stuff is happening. You know what I mean? So we'll see, man. We'll see, bro. You got any closing words, man? You got any closing?
No, I don't really have anything else to add, but okay. You know, just with the proximity of this talk to the anniversary of the Miracle of the Sun,
yeah.
If you're someone who has never, if you're somebody who doesn't really know what I'm talking about, the Miracle of the Sun, just Google Miracle of the Sun Fatima, and I think you'll be pretty impressed by what you find. In fact, it was the it's one of the most widely, or it was one of the most widely experienced miracles in history.
Okay. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, with that, man, you know, good talking to you, bro. This is our first StreamYard conversation. So
yes,
let's do it again,
please give us some feedback. You know, don't be too combative. You know, but
you can be combative with me. I don't give a shit.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. If they get combative with me, I'm going to get combative back. So, and listen, the thing is, if they get too combative with me, then I'm just gonna turn them over to Brother Nico or Brother David.
There you go. All right, man. Until next time, bro.
Okay, brother. All right, peace.
All right, peace.